Cynthia went missing on August 4th, 1981 from Toledo, Ohio. She was a white female. She was just 20 years old when she went missing. She'll be 63 years old as of this year. When she went missing, she was 5'4", 115 pounds. She has brown hair and brown eyes. Her nickname is Cindy. It says she has a chickenpox scar on her forehead and a 1.5-inch scar on the inside of her right knee, which is shaped like an open fishhook. And she was last seen wearing a white V-neck dress with pink pinstripes, cinnamon brown legs, pantyhose, and beige open-toed ankle strap sandals. So Cynthia was employed as a legal secretary at the law offices of James Rabbit and J. Feldstein, which was on East Manhattan Boulevard in Toledo in 1981. She was last seen at the business on August 4th of that year. What I said was 81. Her employers discovered that the radio, when they came in, the radio was turned on and their desks were prepared for the day upon them getting in there. So apparently she came in early and got everything ready to go. Unclaimed mail had been placed inside the front door handle. There was a romance novel that Cynthia had been reading, was opened on her desk, but there was no sign of her anywhere in the building. Her purse and car keys were missing, not found, but her vehicle was locked in the parking lot just outside of the office building. She did not leave a note on the door, which they said that was her usual habit, that whenever, if she had to step out of the office for any reason, she would leave a note, saying, no, maybe something to the effect of, I've had to go do such and such, be back in, 5 minutes or whatever the case may be. There was no note. She has never been seen again after that. She did leave, they said, a substantial amount of money behind in her bank account. Her social security number has not been used since her disappearance. So before she went missing, she had been receiving what they say were suspicious phone calls at work. They said in the weeks leading up to her disappearance. And obviously they said it was disturbing to her. Her family reported that she also had been, and this could almost be like not making a lot of it by any means, but this could almost be like a Stephen King novel. So when before she went missing, they said that she had been having these recurring nightmares about being attacked by a man. So her employers had actually went so far between these phone calls, and I believe there were some other things going on. And I think I found articles on all the stories that give us a little bit of information, but there's a lot of stuff going on. So her employers had gone so far as to install emergency buzzers and an emergency buzzer at her desk, just in case she was in there by herself. Something happened, somebody came in, and she could push that buzzer, and people would come. So that's how, between the phone calls and everything else that was going on, and the dreams figure a lot into it, which is very, very strange. They also kept the office doors locked at all times, and this was due to the harassing calls. So she was getting harassing calls and these messages, these ominous messages, they say. So there have been several suspects in Cynthia's disappearance, none of which they say have been officially ruled out in her case by investigators. So Anthony and Nathaniel Cook, they are two brothers. They were convicted of 9 homicides in the Ohio area between them. So between the two of them, they had 9 homicides. And this was in the 1980s. They, of course, denied any involvement in Cynthia's case. Another convicted unaliver offender currently in prison in Ohio is thought to have possibly been involved in her disappearance. Any connection, there has never been any connection established with that man either. He has never been publicly identified. And then we have a convicted substance dealer Jose Rodriguez Jr., and his attorney, Richard Neller. So they're also suspects. So Neller, who is the attorney, did work with Cynthia's law firm that she worked at during 1981. And authorities have theorized that she may have overheard conversations between Neller and this Rodriguez character, Jose Rodriguez, concerning substance deals and things that, they would not want her to overhear. And that could have possibly led them to do something to her to get rid of her. So investigators believe the information that she possibly heard may have led to them possibly abducting her and or abducting and taking her life, though once again this has never been proven. So an informant testified at Jose Rodriguez's trial in 1995 that Jose Rodriguez allegedly confessed to killing Cynthia, but the testimony was ruled to be unreliable. Now, I don't know how they make that decision, maybe credibility, since he was a substance dealer. But both Rodriguez and Neller are currently in prison due to convictions for their dealings. No one has been charged in connection with Cynthia's disappearance. She is described as a devout Christian fundamentalist. She enjoyed her job and family back in 1981. It says that she did have a boyfriend and she had a lot of friends, so she was a very social person. She was planning to quit her secretarial job 2 weeks after her disappearance in order to attend Bible college. So her family has stated it would be extremely uncharacteristic of her to vanish without explanation of why she would leave. Her parents are unfortunately both deceased. Her mother passed away of cancer in 1983, and her father passed away in 2008. And it says in her father's obituary, it was noticed that Cynthia did precede him in death, and her case remains unsolved. So if you have any information regarding Cynthia's case, you can call the Toledo Police Department at 419-245-3151 or 3111. And let me find the article. And this was an interview or an article with an interview with her dad, obviously before he passed away. And it is from, what year is it from? 2001. 2001. So it says, since she vanished 20 years ago from a law office where she worked, the smell of her nail polish remover lingering in the air, and the radio and air conditioner left on, Mr. Anderson, her father, has retired from his job. He's buried 2 wives, and he became a grandfather several times over. But he has never changed the phone number at his Bedford Township home, in part because Cynthia might call. So he won't change, would not change his phone number just in case, hope upon hope that she was alive and well somewhere and that she would call. So he says he imagines that, the phone will ring, he'll pick up the phone, he'll hear children in the background, he'll hear Cynthia say, hi, Dad, I've got kids, I'm sorry, I've had amnesia, how are you? So, I mean, reading this just breaks my heart, as always. He says, they tell me I'm crazy. Maybe I am, but what am I supposed to do? Give up? It seems like everyone else has. No, you never, ever, ever, ever give up. So as of when this article was written, it said it will be 20 years since Cynthia Anderson disappeared from a Manhattan Plaza office. Her fate remains one of Toledo's most intriguing mysteries. Her smiling face has appeared on flyers worldwide. Her case has been on national television, and hers is at this time, or at the time this article was written, the longest active Toledo Police Department missing persons case. And they say the files fill nearly an entire file cabinet drawer. So anybody who's seen file cabinets know those drawers are very, very, very deep and very long. So the James Rabbit, the attorney who found the office empty the day that Cynthia went missing, says, "You knew right away that something was wrong. You knew that she was not coming back." Though she was profoundly religious and even a sweetly naive woman, Miss Anderson's final known days were spooked by suspicious calls, an ominously scrawled spray paint message. And I don't know if it'll say in the article, but I read in one article that I think it said something like, "I love you, Cindy," or something of that nature. And then she was having these dreams and that she was going to be attacked by a man. I mean, sorry, ads keep popping up. It was enough that the normally private woman had an emergency buzzer installed at her desk, and Mr. Rabbit instructed her to lock the office doors when she was alone. But in the end, apparently those precautions did not help, did no good. Cynthia disappeared without a trace, nobody, no note, no sign of a struggle. Even hardened and usually skeptical investigators suspected deadly intentions from the beginning. Lieutenant Rick Reed, who was a street officer at the time, says, but he now oversees the Toledo Police Homicide Squad. He said this was a hard-working woman, a woman who went to church, came from a good family, had it all going for her, and then bam, she gets snatched up in broad daylight. She just vanished. So once again, it's one of those seemingly, even though we know it can't happen, just vanished into thin air. So on the day she went missing, they say it was a typically muggy afternoon, August 4th, 1981, when Mr. Rabbit and his partner, Jay Feldstein, arrived for work at their East Manhattan Boulevard law offices. The radio was playing. The desk had been readied for the day, which was all part of the routine that they had come to expect from their impeccably responsible but pleasant secretary. Mr. Rabbit recalled she looked at her job almost like missionary work. She felt she was serving people and she wanted to do her best. They say it was not surprising given her background. She was born on February 4th, 1961. As I said earlier, she was a child of devout Christian fundamentalists whose lives were built on hard work, self-discipline, and unwavering faith in God. Christine Savage, who is one of Cynthia's older sisters, she's the second oldest, said, "I would say we were sheltered somewhat. My parents wanted us involved with church, and we were." That meant Sunday morning services, prayer meetings, and strict curfews, as well as camping trips, seasonal parties, and swimming at nearby lakes. That summer, she and boyfriend Jeff Lemke, who was another church member, they had been talking about getting married. In late August that year, she was going to join him for college classes at William Tyndale College, which was in Farmington Hills, Michigan. Mr. Lemke, who was her boyfriend at the time, recalled she was very happy at the time. She was excited about college. She was excited about us. So when Mr. Rabbit and Mr. Feldstein arrived at the office that day, they were perplexed and uneasy at the sight of the empty office. The phones were ringing unanswered. Mail had been lodged inside the front door handle. Her purse and car keys were gone, but the car was outside. The doors were locked, apparently from the inside. Now, I'm not for sure about that, but I'm trying to think if I read it in another article. So Cynthia's, this is another kind of red flaggy weird thing. So Cynthia's romance novel that she was reading lay open, and ironically, they noticed it was to a page where the heroine is brutally attacked. So now that might account for the dreams, because I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist or anything, but I do know that when you dream at night, everything from your subconscious, anything, even if it's just a small little something that you may have seen or heard or something during your waking hours, works its way into your dreams. So to me, that kind of explains or it does explain, in my opinion, the dream she was having about being attacked. Because apparently in this novel that she was reading, the heroine is brutally attacked by a man. Just my opinion. Please, you guys, let me know in chat, or if you're watching replay. Thank you, replay crew. Do leave a comment. So they called out her name, and they got no answer. Her sister remembers the call from the lawyers in the middle of the afternoon saying, "Have you heard from Cindy?" And Cindy's sister says, "I immediately felt my heart start pounding." At his job as an air conditioner repairman, Mr. Anderson, her father, received a similar call. He wrapped up his day's work. He rushed home to find vehicles, some of them police cars, circling his home. Inside, his wife, Margaret, was surrounded by friends and family. Prayer chains had been established, and the phone rang almost nonstop. Someone was talking of a reward fund, putting up missing persons flyers, and they said it was barely dinner time. So they were quick getting on this. So they say the years 1980 and 1981 were among Toledo's bloodiest. So Cynthia's fate never liked speculation about what happened. So once again, going back to these suspects, possible suspects, persons of interest, it said at least 2 serial offenders, which are the brothers Anthony and Nathaniel Cook. Those were the guys that had between them, they had 9 homicides. Once again, they denied any involvement with Cindy's case. But they still have never been ruled out as suspects. And apparently, 3 weeks before Cindy vanished, Gloria Krause, who is a mother of 3 boys, disappeared while grocery shopping near her Point Place home, and she was found stabbed to death in a Michigan field. Once again, I always forget to put up my crawler with my trigger warning. There we go. Sorry, trigger warning. So though the Krause case never has been officially solved, police say they suspect an offender who is now serving time at Chillicothe Correctional Institute or Correctional Institution for 2 unrelated homicides. He too never has been ruled out as a suspect in Cindy's case either. I mean, another theory, a private detective later linked Cindy's disappearance to a message spray painted in enormous letters on a wall at the shopping center where she worked that said, "I love you, Cindy." The message was signed with the initials of a now deceased maintenance man who worked in the area. Now, I don't know if he worked at the actual office buildings where she worked at this law firm, but said he did work in the area. And then on the other hand, it could be completely unrelated and be, I know Cindy, especially back in the 80s, Cindy was a very popular name. So it could be totally unrelated. The closest police ever thought they were to closing Cindy's case occurred with the 1995 arrest of, once again, this dealer, Jose Rodriguez Jr., and his attorney, Richard Neller. So Mr. Neller did work with the law firm. We talked about that before, when Cindy disappeared. And federal prosecutors suggested that she was abducted and her life was taken after she overheard conversations about an ongoing substance conspiracy involving these 2 men. So we talked about, I guess, a little bit more information about this. Well, it says a jailhouse snitch, I guess it's the same guy we talked about earlier, testified that Rodriguez told him that he had taken the life of Cynthia with a 9mm firearm, but that was the evidence the judge later said was not reliable. Though both men were convicted on substance charges, neither one was convicted in Cindy's case or her disappearance. As with so many missing persons cases, police said Cindy's case generated too many theories and circumstances, but no tangible clues. So yeah, I don't remember reading in any of the articles I read of any kind of There was no sign of struggle at the office or anywhere that I can remember reading. Once again, it's just like she just vanished. No sign of struggle at the car. So 20 years, it's been more than 20 years now. Cindy's face still haunts Bill Adams, who was the detective assigned to her file. For days, he worked the case nearly round the clock. On days off, he would search woods, ravines, and even sewer tunnels for clues. He did join the family on an episode of Unsolved Mysteries that featured Cindy's story. He said, I used to think of her every day, even after I retired. Even now, when they discover a body, I think maybe it's Cindy. For years, Detective Adams believed that he had solved the case, but in retrospect, he said we were never close. So apparently, whoever he thought the offender was turned out not to be the case. Miss Savage, who was Cindy's sister, one of Cindy's sisters, says she isn't sure that she wants to know. I'm assuming she doesn't want to know what happened, what may have happened to, or what did happen to Cindy. But she says she is not convinced. She isn't convinced that knowing the details would be any less terrible. So that is understandable. She says apparently she lives in, or at this point in time, was living in West Virginia. She said, really, how would that be easier to know the awful details? I mean, if you know immediately, like it's some gruesome highway crash, you still grieve. It's still awful. So her sister apparently married in the fall that year, and her younger sister, talking about Cindy, was noticeably absent as maid of honor. Once again, their mother passed away in 1983 and was buried on what would have been Cindy's birthday. Oh, that is horrible. It says there were births and deaths and Christmases and birthdays, all without Cindy. These days, divided by distance and their own family commitments, Cindy's siblings and father tried to call each other on important dates, like each August 4th. Mr. Anderson has refused to hold a memorial service or have his daughter declared legally deceased, even though such a move would release thousands of dollars in money that the family had tucked away for a college fund. Back in 2001, a $20,000 reward fund. There was a $20,000 reward. Mr. Anderson said, I haven't come to that point yet. I expect that phone to ring at any time, maybe this afternoon. So the article says, could she still be alive? Her sister says she took a deep breath and chose her words carefully. She said, quote, I guess I've accepted it now. I think most of us have. There are a lot of evil people in this world who will never be convicted for the things that they've done.